Okay. Uh, of course, I choose to start right as the trip goes by. um, I put off today's recording for a while because I just didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And, sorry, let me lock in. Anyways, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about, and I think the right topic was given to me. Because I was putting it off because it's like, what am I just gonna ramble about the same shit I said the last 2 days? And then I was cleaning up, I was sweeping up my apartment, and I got a message on the last video that I put up, like a comment from someone like that's in the Discord, and I think they commented on my other video, and they'll probably comment on this one too. So if you see this, thank you for giving me today's topic. But they were just talking about how, like, and I know in the last video I mentioned, like, I see people at the Grammys, I see people at the Met, and I see myself in those rooms, and I don't want that to come off as inauthentic. And that's gonna be the word of the day, is authenticity, and what is the cost of authenticity. But I did not want that to come off as inauthentic, because first and foremost, like, the prestige, the awards, like that's not my goal. That's never been my goal. That's not, it's a nice idea. Yeah, I think every artist has that in their mind because it's recognition, and we as humans crave recognition for sure. But first and foremost, like, the most important thing to me will always be the artistry. Always be the artistry, and the things that I'm creating, and the stories and the messages that I'm trying to tell. And I see that as a byproduct, right? Like, I don't want to be, and this is gonna call me out so much because I might name people that have never won a Grammy or things like that, but that's not the point. The Grammy is not what I'm looking for. It's the recognition, but not at the cost of authenticity, right? And they were talking about how, in that same comment, like, there's a blood, like, there, you have to pay in blood to make it into this industry. And I know that, like, don't get me wrong, I know that. Like, I hate the idea I hate the idea of an industry, right? But at the end of the day, that is the way that music, like, flows in our world. Like, there are great artists that are not big artists. I'm not saying you can't make great art and, like, still be smaller, or, yeah, that's no shade to anyone, like, but like I was saying in my last video, I need something that fuels me, and the way to do that is to do it big and do it great. But it cannot be at the cost of my authenticity. And that's gonna be a weird, like, line to toe, and I'm glad that I'm even thinking about this, because I feel like this is something that most people don't even think about. Like, they focus on the music first, and not, like, what they're gonna do when they get into those rooms, and when shit starts coming at them, and it seems like the only thing that they could do is sign their life away. Like, that's not where I want to end up, because I saw how that happened. Like, look at this, and this is such a dumb example, I guess, but like Britney. Like, I love Britney for who she was. She was an icon, and some of her earlier stuff, like when she was first coming out, like, it was sweet. It wasn't, but then she turned into an industry machine, and it broke her, like, 100%. And I don't want to be a part of an industry, but I have to inevitably be in some way in that industry. And I don't know how to cope with that thought, that, like I said in the last one, like, I have no problem collabing, working with people, and I understand that there is, always going to be some level of signing away different parts of things. And I think that that's just necessary. But you cannot sign away your soul, right? You could sign away, like, the rights to a song, publishing rights. etc. But you know, one thing is I will always own, or yeah, that's a non-negotiable. I will always own all my masters. And that's also why, like, it's so important to me that I learn to compose and produce and create from just all this, because this is endless. The ideas and the things that I could come up with are endless. And just because my skill, at least, like, you know, I have a good voice, at least I think I do. I think I sing well, but you know, I never learned to play an instrument until now. You know, I've never learned how to produce. You know, I have a good ear and I can understand what makes songs sound good, but theory is not something that I've learned yet. And you know, it's just something that is gonna take time, but it's important. And that's why I embrace it. I embrace every second of it, even when I'm getting confused as hell. Learn about diminishing chords and yeah, it's a whole thing to get into. But I just have a lot to think about, I guess, and I'll probably journal more and think about this and have a better response later. But how do I take over this industry without integrating into it, right, to a point where I lose myself? Like that seems like it's so impossible, and it probably is. It's probably like a pipe dream. I don't know. But do I have to sacrifice? Is the only way to be big sacrificing, you know, parts of myself? Or are there ways to make it? And I don't just like want TikTok fame. Like I want long lasting, like the way it used to be, where like you don't have to like necessarily be part of this bigger industry zeitgeist. I keep saying the word industry and it sounds like I'm so repetitive, but I just because it's so complicated now, right? Like, and there, don't get me wrong, I get there are benefits to being signed to a label, and you know, eventually I would like to sign to a label, but what does that look like for me? I don't know. I guess this is just more conversation that I'll have to have with myself and those who know more than me, because I feel like maybe a lot of my questions could be answered by someone who is more knowledgeable about what it actually means to be a part of the music industry and like how independence could work. But I want to be able to create things that reach not just I want to reach a specific audience, but I want to have so much reach that people who didn't even know they were my audience find my work and become part of that audience. And I want to make things that push people to better themselves and change themselves and like grow as individuals, and not just be like a niche. But that doesn't mean that I want to be for everyone either. It's a weird line to toe. I have a savior complex, I think, is a big part of it. I want to save the whole world with just my music, which is so ambitious. So ambitious. And probably unrealistic in a lot of ways, in most ways, in every way. But I like that's when I think about why I want to do this music thing. It's not that I want fame or acclaim, but I want to save the world. And that sounds so dumb and so egotistical, but it's not because like I think that I'm the savior. I think God put me here to be a vessel for the message that like people need in this world, because everything's so loud, and if they could just hear the message, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't even know what it is half the time either, but God is showing me a path, and I am listening to it, and I'm walking it. And I think that if more people just tuned in and just tuned out of whatever the bullshit is that's going on all around. And I get it's hard. It's so hard. Like, they want you confused, right? Like, those at the top want us confused and struggling to understand, like, ourselves and each other, because it gives them more power. Like, the more united we are, the harder it is to, control. And I've always, I understand most people live inside that matrix. They see themselves as just a small part of a whole instead of a big part of a whole, right? Like, each of us individually has so many characteristics and qualities as people that could be so beneficial to those around us. And I think just that impact to those around us is what is more important and will always be more important than, our impact to, the job that we serve, or and that doesn't mean that I don't think people that, have careers and love their career, like that is part of it, but you should love what you do because of the impact it creates on the community around you, not because it gives you an idea of success. Oh, Kanye, I was watching an interview, I think it was on Ellen, where he's talking about that. He's like, like, you could have all the success and the fame and blah blah blah, but are you connecting? And I want to connect people on a deep level that I think we've kind of lost in this modern day. But I'm not gonna pretend like it's all dim and gloom. Like, I do see that there is this switch in the mentality right now, where we're going from extreme to extreme to extreme, and I think we're getting close to a middle, right? We're getting close to this nuance as a society, because we understand that extremes just aren't fucking working anymore, right? And I think that's why, like, I feel it's the perfect time for me to just slide in and say what I have to say, because, like, nuance breeds understanding, but it also breeds confusion, and I don't want it to go the wrong way. I don't want it to be like people are trying not to think too strongly about things one way or the other, so they end up stifling or muting themselves and being confused about how life should be. And I don't think that I have all the answers about how life should be 100%. But I do think that because of a lot of the life that I've led thus far, and just the way that my mind works, I was able to work out, what it really means. And I'm sure I will continue to work out for the rest of my life what it means to actually be human and just embrace the love of that chaos of, like, trying to understand why we're here in the first place. I think that's a huge question that everyone asks themselves at least once in their life. And I guess I could share kind of how I think about it, but I don't think that there's a reason necessarily that we're put here. I think being put here is the reason, right? Like, I mean, I could say it 1,000 different ways, but we're put here. We are created to create by any means necessary. Created to create. Created to create art, create music, create relationships, create friendships, create emotion, create buildings, create fucking gardens, it doesn't matter. Create poetry, create books, create movies. It does not matter. Just so long as we create, legal system. Like it doesn't matter which way you want to look at it, but there's always some level of ingenuity that we are forced to take hold of and, ride along with into completion. I don't know if that made sense. I mean, it made sense to me, but sometimes I feel like things I say are a little hard to, or what I mean might not always get construed through what I say in the most succinct way. But yeah, that was just got put on my mind, and I was thinking about it while I was cleaning up. What is the cost of authenticity. And especially for me, like, but in general, like, what is the cost of being authentic, right? And just to externalize it and put it into an idea that's not just, you know, oh, well, what about me, and like, what about the music that I want to do? Like, you could apply that to anything. I mean, imagine you're somebody who loves, you know, dyed hair or piercings and tattoos, but you also want to work in something that's, you know, very professional and corporate, and like that frowns upon that. Does the cost of your authenticity have to be not ever being able to be a part of a career that you love? Or do you have to choose that career over being authentic? And I don't think either one should work. Like, there has to be a middle ground. And I think that's that nuance, right? That we're stepping into. And I think we're coming into a world that's more open to that idea of not having to be authentic or sold out. But you could, you know, be somewhere in the middle without that middle being confused and muddled and unclear. And I hope that that's not the vibe that people get. I don't want to portray myself as feeling unclear about my art or who I am or what I want to do. I want to be for anybody, but not for everybody, right? Anybody is welcome, so long as, you know, they show up and, you know, rise and meet me where I'm at. And that goes outside of the music, but like just in my life in general, right? Anybody is welcome if they're willing to rise and meet me where I'm at. That also does go for like my fans, my future fans. Not that I have any yet. I know I don't. I'm young and I'm hungry, but hungry doesn't mean I want to eat up everything around me. I just want to eat what's on my plate. And there's a weird balance in there. To go the other way, you know, I love Doechii. Like I said that in the last video or the video before that, you know, I love Doechii. And you know, she didn't start out as like an industry at all. Like she, you know, I think a lot of people misconstrue her for an industry plant, but she's not. You know, it took her 10 years to be an overnight success. Like, she worked at it, she put the work in, and she had the audacity, and she had the creative vision, and all these things. And then, you know, she got signed, and she had all these expectations from her label, and she talks about this a lot, but especially in the song Profit, where she says, my label hate the direction I'm going. They knock my shit. Stick to the plan and ignore them. I can't acknowledge it. Because they don't make statues of critics. They don't make statues of fans. I'm not no politician, and I can't be shaking them hands. Fuck modest. Fuck polish. Fuck the politics. Because I pledge allegiance to the motherfucking Prophet, bitch. That's it. And I don't think that profit for her either, like, what she means by that, I don't think she means just money, but just like to create something that is profitable, successful, that has an impact, that pours out of, you know, what it has already created. And I don't know, you know, there's the concept of money there too, but like, I love Alligator Bites Never Heal just as a whole. I could probably talk about each and every song on that album in full, like its own dissertation. But yeah, you know, if there's somebody out there watching this and they feel like they're giving up a piece of their authenticity, or they need to, you know, like, you don't, but understand that there will be a cost to choosing either way. There will always be a cost. Each side of the coin, you know, if you get heads, you're losing your tail, and if you get tails, you're losing your head. But there is also a way, there is an edge of that coin that you can balance on, and it's not easy. You ever try to balance a coin on its edge? It's hard, but it's possible. may not know how to yet, but you know, it feels possible. And we'll just have to see, I guess. But whatever route I get put on, whatever path God has me walk, whether that's, you know, being at the Grammys and winning awards, or, you know, just creating enough to be sustainable, as long as I can live and do what I love, the rest will follow. The rest is just a byproduct. But yeah, that was on my mind, I guess, today after that comment. So I think that's kind of it. I'll be back tomorrow. You know, if anyone actually does want me to do a breakdown of Alligator Bites Never Heal, I would be so down, because I fucking love that album and there's so many good lessons to be taken from it. Or I could break down, you know, any number of songs that I find inspirational. But yeah, I hope anyone watching this has a good day. I've had a good day so far. I'm gonna hopefully go make the rest of it a good day. Yeah. I love you.